All right, finally, more Mirage figures came out. Mr. Rat King, one of my most anticipated Mirage figures. I love the Mirage series. I've said this before in past videos. I was a Mirage TMNT comic kid when I was a kid. Excited for this. I reread all his stories in the Mirage comic book to get hyped for this. Some of my friends wanted this too, but there was only one on the shelf. Sorry, Matt. It took me 2 targets and about an hour and a half worth of driving to find it. And clearly, just looking at the box, this beautiful man right here, much like the rest of the Mirage series, is an absolute mirror image of his first original self, which we'll talk about now. Because remember, in these videos, I don't just like to talk about the figure, I want to tell you about the history. So the Rat King, in his first appearance ever, in his origin story, well, not really, but he first appeared in Tales of TMNT number 4. With art by Jim Lawson. And he was an unnamed character in the comic book. He actually never had a name. They did not call him the Rat King. They called him nothing. Not much is revealed about this past in the first issue, but he just seems to be just a man with pretty big mental health problems. He definitely grew up in America. So the Turtles and Casey went to an abandoned building that he sort of resided in, I guess, and he thought they were gonna try to steal it from him. And so he had to defend his turf. And as the story goes, the Rat King goes deeper and deeper into sort of his illusions and mentally convinces himself that he is, in matter of fact, a monster and not a man anymore. And he doesn't have any powers or anything. He's just a man down on his luck, living with the rats. But he's such an interesting character because of the way the story portrayed him. They portrayed him as just a man, down on his luck, a little, obviously, mental health issues there. And it started to twist him a little bit. And some people might not know either that he actually didn't control the rats in the story. He actually tried to, but he failed at it. And he did use them to try and kill the turtles at some point by leading them into sort of their feeding grounds. But that is until Leonardo quickly ended the battle with a ninja star shuriken to the chest. And he falls off the building and sort of seemingly dies. But in the very last panel, you actually see where he actually sort of makes a connection with the rats finally, truly sort of becoming the Rat King maybe? Even though, again, in this issue, they never call him the Rat King. It is never uttered, those words. And he didn't appear again in the Mirage original series until issue 55, which was the big City at War storyline. Actually really unique appearance because he's very articulate in it. He's not a rambling madman, sort of like he was in his first version. He appears to be a spirit of some sort because Splinter is injured and he's trapped, and he, shows up to talk with Splinter, I guess, and try to, give Splinter, advice on how to survive. And he has the same basic appearance. And then obviously he's had many other appearances. He's had a couple more he's been in the Archie series. He's been, in IDW and stuff like that, been reinvented 100,000 times. Even the cartoon version, obviously the cartoon version is way different too. But this is my beloved original Mirage version, the twisted, the crazy looking, the ugly looking Rat King. So on Figurama, we don't look at the boxes very much anymore, but the Mirage boxes are simply amazing still because they do have the original art on them. And I love it. The original art down there, especially look at this side one. Look at this side one. That looks so good. It looks just like the original Mirage art, which I've been showcasing so far. Headshot on the other side, back shot, all the action stuff and things. And, people. I didn't get Baxter Stockman. I wish I would have, but I didn't get it. But Rat King I had to get. Rat King is like one of my #1 most wanted figures. And I don't know, let's open him. Look at him outside of the box rather than inside the box. And thank Brody Perkins for this excellent sculpt. I love how NECA puts their, credits on the bottom so you know who did this stuff. So Brody, you're the bomb. And even the paint work on these things, Jeff Trapp, Mike Puzo, you guys are amazing. Thank you, NECA. All right, let's help the Rat King be free. All right, so here he is, Mr. Handsome Man himself. And just like the rest of the Mirage series, the sculpt work, 10 out of 10. Paint details, 10 out of 10. Character design, you know, bringing that 2D picture into 3D. Those magicians at NECA. This is a 10 out of 10 too. The Rat King is such a unique character because he's so complex, especially in the original Mirage comic books. Like in the, you know, cartoon and stuff, he wasn't that complex, okay? In the original Mirage comic books, he was a crazy man. And I mean, even this face is so close to what the comic book did. It's pretty darn amazing. He's got two heads, right? So he's got one head with sort of the insides blacked out, sort of, you know, his mad head. And, you know, in a lot of his appearances in the Mirage comic book, there's a lot of changes in between even panels in the same issues and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not making any sense. The sentence didn't make any sense. But anyways, back to the heads. He's got two heads. One with a blacked out skin that's sort of more monster-ish, and one where he sort of, you know, shows his, you know, human side a little bit more. Hair's a little bit different too. So he's got that, you know, scraped sort of bald red head thing, which looks disgusting. I mean, but it is what it is. So he's got these two heads, and I can definitely find panels in the comic book where they took the inspiration from these sculpts from, and it looks just like them. Like, they both look so good. So that's a sort of monster-esque head. His mad head pops right off. There's a thing there. There is this little sort of scarf right here. It's not really a scarf. It's just another bandage, one of the orange bandages, but then that pops right on right there. And so that's his more, you know, human head for, you know, his human side. This is obviously closer to the original, I guess, Playmates figure, this head. But I think I like this one more because this is my initial impression from his first appearance. Like that's it right there. But I mean, the sculpt work is amazing on both of them, all the bandages and everything. The paint job, there's a nice wash on all the bandages too. Obviously, you know, he's got the painted on dark here. Obviously, he's got the painted on eye recesses here with little pupils in them. Dirty, I don't know if it's facial hair. It looks like, you know, dirt to me. I mean, he definitely doesn't bathe, okay, guys? The sculpt work on the hair right there and the paint details too. Man, these are great. I especially like the dark wash on everything. It makes it look really good. All right, but I do like this head on there. I do like this one right there. This guy's no pretty boy like that Super 7 atrocity that they tried to pass off. So let's go to the body details. We'll show off the articulation a little bit. So I love the Mirage series because I do love the design elements, how they sort of transferred. Because the early Mirage comics, they were very inky. They were very, they weren't very refined in the art style or anything like that. I think, even though I'm a huge fan of the Mirage series, I can definitely admit that. They weren't very refined. They were a little muddy and everything. But the figures fit that aesthetic so good. Right? Like, I love all the stitch work on his outfit. Obviously, you know, his outfit that he threw together here, he probably made it himself, I guess. There's stitch work everywhere, which is great. Sculpting details, it's not just paint details. These are all sculpted in here, the different textures and everything. Even this dark green and the dark green and the lighter green have a slightly different texture to them, it looks like. Like, it's pretty crazy touch right there. All the bandages, too, obviously have that, you know, dark wash on him. He does have the black lines on him, you know, the comic shading lines everywhere too. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. He's got double elbows, double knees. A lot of the bandages, well, the bandages on his legs at least. This is movable right here, obviously on the neck that I already showed. But he also has these ones on his legs, which are actually movable. So you can sort of pose them around as you want. This side over here, he's only got, this side doesn't have it. This side has a boot cuff up top. And his boot cuff does move up and down. So you just pop it up there to make it, you know, look like a boot. I guess this one, you know, maybe he's got different shoes on, or this one ripped off or something. But anyways, all these bandages on the leg are all not articulated, but they're bendy. You know, they're bendy. So you can actually move them up, you can move them down, you can turn them around if you want. Because again, he changed a lot from panel to panel, right? So it sort of makes sense for these to be like this, so you can change them up when you want. Like, I think that's an amazing touch rather than being sculpted details on there. You can, you know, move them around to however sort of you want. for the day. It's a really nice touch. There's good paint details. They are a little bit darker than these orange ones, but it's definitely not off. And he's got so much variation in his costume, in the comic book and obviously this figure in return, that the difference is, it makes complete sense. Completal sense? What am I saying? But anyway, so articulation. He is articulated pretty good. He's got a good range of motion in his arms. He can go all the way around. Bicep swivel, double elbows. So he's not going to be the most superposable figure of all time, but again, for these figures are to look like the comic book on your shelf. This is a success at doing that. He's got a huge chest right here, and he's got a ball joint in the middle and a swivel at the waist right there. Obviously, same articulation on this arm right there. Leg articulation, he does have the soft plastic. The middle part is hard, but these are soft plastic over here, so they don't hinder movement at all. He can really reach out really, really good. Straight forward, straight out, all that good stuff. Double knees, there are pins on him, so they haven't quite moved away from pins on the Mirage series yet. This can pinch in there a little bit, I guess, but it really doesn't hinder articulation at all. His articulation on his legs especially is really, really good. These aren't super tight, so they will slide down once in a while. They are kind of loose, I guess you could say, so that could be a not good point for some people. I don't think I'll mind it necessarily. I'm not having a huge problem with it. And it looks pretty good, so I definitely take the looks of it. Any day of the week. Going around the back, he still has obviously the same sculpt work on the back, all the good sculpted on details and everything. Man, this figure looks amazing. Like, this is the page come to life. All right, he comes with a bat, which is a pretty plain looking bat. It's just a piece of wood. It does have a little bit of a wash to it. I believe this is the only weapon he used in that initial appearance. This is clearly based on his very initial appearance in that issue number 4 of the series. And so he used this to I believe, knock out Michelangelo and tie him up. And then obviously the Rat King has to come with little rats, and they're definitely very, very cute. They are not articulated or anything. They're so small though. You got a running one, you got a sitting one, and you got this one curled up like a ball. So obviously this goes on somewhere on his body, which I will find for some of the pictures, I'm sure. But the sculpt work looks good, and they look just like the rats that are in the comic book. So that was NECA's goal, and NECA made their goal. Good job, NECA. And then it comes with a lot of hands, which I'll show off in a second, but there's one set of hands that's different than the rest of them. So these hands are sort of almost like monster-like hands. And these, from what I can ascertain, are from one specific panel in the comic book when he, descends into madness a little bit more. And he does call himself a monster. Because at first he's like, he's a man. But then slowly as the issue goes, he's like, no, I'm a monster. I am the monster they think I am. And his hands sort of, in his eye, turn into like monster hands, sort of like these. So this is an amazing, amazing set of hands to include in there. It's sort of a deep dive, but they're beautiful. They have painted on sculpt work, lots of warts. He needs some, freeze away or whatever that stuff's called. And then a metric ton of big old beefy hands. So he's got, a pair of like medium grip hands, a pair of smaller grip hands. Let's see, 2 punching hands. So 2 punching hands, 2 medium hands, and 2 tighter grip hands. So obviously the tighter grip hands probably grip the bat. The medium grip hands, maybe for the rat, something. And the punching hands are obviously punching hands. Maybe the rat is for the bat. It's a bat rat. And it comes with the backdrop, obviously. So it's a sort of the Mirage themed backdrop. All right, so that's Rat King. There's not a lot of accessories, so I'm gonna play with them. I'm gonna take my pictures, do the B-roll and stuff, and then come back with final thoughts on what I think about the King himself. All right, so that is the Mirage Rat King. I've been looking forward to him for such a long time, and he does not miss. The Mirage series has not missed one single time yet. He does not have a lot of accessories. Most of his accessories or hands. I would have rather maybe had more rats than hands. I want an army of rats for this guy, like an army. Just comparing him to his original comic book appearance, this is like picture perfect, that appearance. It's so amazing. They could probably do another version of this figure down the line because his appearance did change a little bit between the versions. But this is another awesome addition to the Mirage series for sure. Get him if you can. NECA's skill level really shows on the sculpt work and the paint job and all the details, the muddy look to him to match the original art. Like, man, so good, so good, so good. So get it for real if you could find it. The Rat King is an amazing addition to the line. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, thanks for tuning in. Check out my Ko-Fi below if you want to become a producer for the show, if you want to support at all. The link's down below. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, peace out. Enjoy your plastic. Let's enjoy it together.